Hey everyone, hope you're keeping well. So I just sat down with Adam of Bad Day, having a great chat. We spoke about the band's brand new single, Devil's Lullaby, which is taken from their forthcoming album out later this year. Live shows they've got coming up, including some festival appearances, like over at my good friends Love Rocks Festival and Wildfire Festival as well. So if you're going across to some of the dates, festival-wise, you're bound to see these guys out on the road. Don't miss them. I don't want to miss them. I've not seen these guys lay out live yet. First heard them sort of tail end of last year, and I'm really liking what I'm hearing from these guys. Their last album, Table by the Wall, was a fantastic record. Really enjoyed it. So really excited by the new album, which is going to be a concept album. Adam was saying, but Emma will talk about that and everything else the band has to say and offer over the next 12 months, and you can hear everything Adam had to say right now. And we're joined by Adam Rigg of the Bad Day. How you doing, pal?
Hello, Sam. All right. I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
You're good. So, of course, yesterday you released Devil's Lullaby. Played it on the show last night. Great new single, man. Is this a change in direction for you guys in previous? Is that why you've dropped the blues band tag of the name?
I guess it was. To be honest, we've been wanting to drop the blues band for ages, to be honest. But kind of, it's kind of our roots. That's kind of we got together through going down the blues bar and getting up and jamming, and that's kind of some of our background is in blues, but others in the band background definitely isn't in blues. More into like kind of rock stuff. So we've been wanting to drop it for a while because we've never stuck to just blues anyway. And then this new album, I always wanted to do a concept album, like a big fan of like Abbey Road. And like Pink Floyd stuff, and I just think they're really interesting concept albums. They're a bit less kind of disposable as a thing, and like as an artist, I think you can take a little bit more pride, like looking back on something that took a bit more time and effort to make. Not that there's anything wrong with with 3-minute pop songs. I'm into that as well. I'll listen to a bit of Lionel Richie as much as the next guy, but so yeah, but this new album with it being concept, and it definitely isn't like, well, I don't even think you could call it any kind of blues, really. Maybe it's got a bluesy tinge to it because we got a harmonica player, but it's the songs really are not. It's a concept, kind of rock concept album, really. It just felt wrong, still having the kind of the blues band name attached to it. So we just thought, and people kept getting it wrong anyway. Like the amount of names were being called, like being introduced at festivals and gigs, and people going, "Hi, this is the Big Boy Bad Day Life Band," and he's just like, fuck, just get the name right. We'll make it simpler, just call it the Bad Day. Yeah, but yeah, it's a slightly new direction. So yeah, the single is kind of out of the middle of the concept album.
Okay.
So all the songs flow into each other.
All right.
But this is kind of it's kind of like the argument section of these two lovers. The Devil's Lullaby, if you listen to the lyrics, that's kind of what it's kind of. It's kind of, actually, when I wrote it, it was going to be like a duet.
All right.
It was going to be like one line was going to be like the sung by the guy, and the kind of the retort was going to be from the woman in the story, and I was going to have as a duet, but then just I couldn't find anyone that would be right for it, and then we thought it would be odd having like a duet in the middle of a concept album. It wouldn't really work, so the lyrics are the same. That's kind of, it still tells that part of the story. But yeah, it's right in the middle of the concept. It's kind of the argument section.
Oh, cool, man. So what's the sort of overall concept of the whole album as such?
It's basically, it's got like a very literal concept, which is basically these two musician lovers who are kind of struggling to get to grips with their relationship and kind of society and fitting into society as society's kind of changing, and they're not really suited to that kind of society, as well as their issues that they have between them. That's kind of the literal kind of story, as you were. If you can kind of follow it along. But there's kind of a bigger overarching kind of element to it as well. I would think. Yeah,
I think that's certainly on the overall side of things. That's something I think any artist or any creative person could certainly relate to. I know plenty of people who, musicians or artists or, whatever, who don't suit that sort of 9-to-5 office type style life. I'm one of them. And sometimes, you're not made for this generation necessarily, but no, it sounds like a cool concept to sort of tackle, mate.
Yeah, well, I definitely didn't want to do anything remotely or too obviously linked to the whole pandemic thing.
Yeah.
Because that just felt wrong. I mean, for me, I know a lot of artists have done it. You've had like 1,000 kind of pandemic lockdown albums and stuff. And that's cool because everyone's going through it and everyone's thinking about it. But I didn't want to write anything like that because for me, like when I listen to other artists and other music, it's like an escapism for me.
Yeah.
And I want to escape from all of that shit that's going on every day. I don't want to be reminded of it at all. So I didn't want to write anything that was obviously like that. However, I think because it's on everyone's mind all the time, it kind of bits of that come, in terms of like society and how society is changing. There's a bit of that come through, I think, in the story.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Like you say, with as big as that news is, it's going to filter in some capacity somewhere, just because you're talking about life. And like I say, there's been, don't get me wrong, there's been some great albums that have come from it, and art comes from these places sometimes. But I feel that it also ties it to it somewhat. There's some really cool albums out there. I like Scarlet Rebels. I'm a big fan of. They've just done See Through Blue, but equally, that's not solely about COVID and everything. It's more about where they stand, like you say, on society as a concept. They've just, the more political side has come into their music because they're angry at certain things, like a lot of people are. But that would transcend anything, because there's always moments where, sadly, the story does repeat itself. Not necessarily the COVID situation, but certainly, you know, not being looked after by the powers that be and all that kind of thing. But I think equally on some songs, it's going to tie it to this period only. And like you say, I'm someone like you who wants to escape when I listen to an album. You know, I want to get lost in an album and ignore anything that might be going on as such, and live in that moment, especially when you go see it live as well. You know, since going back to gigs and everything the last sort of few months since everything's reopened, it's that escapism. Like I remember went to go watch the Wild Hearts not long after everything opened back up, and it was that thing of walking in and going, right, how do I act at a Wild Hearts show now? Because obviously normally they jump around, everyone's screaming their lungs out, enjoying themselves, and then you think, do I have to stand a certain way? Do I have to maintain a certain distance? Do I not, you know, sing along with everyone? What's going on? And I thought, I'm just going to roll with how within about 2 minutes, some bloke threw his arm around me and just went, this is fucking great. Okay, I'm with him, it's fine. But yeah, that's cool, man. That was a good subject to tackle. I thought that the table by the wall, sorry, isn't it?
The first album, yeah.
I thought that sort of hinted towards more of a rock-based thing than blues. There's certainly more tinges of it.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of the tracks on it now. I mean, Table by the Wall, I guess the lead single from it is not really a blues song, is it? I mean, actually on that whole album, there's probably
two or three that came to mind off of them.
Yeah, there's probably a few that are in a more traditional kind of structure, but even those are not like, none of them are 12-bar. No. None of them are 12-bar blues or Chicago blues or anything like that. It's rock based, really. I guess that's because like when I got into the blues, it wasn't through Robert Johnson or old blues. It was through kind of the 60s kind of rock chaps who had got that blues.
Yeah.
They'd done their thing, and then that filtered through. So people like Cream and Hendrix and stuff was kind of the blues I was into, and it's just in your writing, isn't it? Once you
this is it. Once
you listen to it, and you learn.
They're there, aren't they? At the end of the day.
Yeah. So if any kind of blues element, it's that kind of it's more rock blues, 60s, 70s rock blues. A little bit like Humble Pie, which is a little bit bluesy or stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with being. Well, you're to me, an artist is always going to be a product of their influences. So you're going to take from everything that you like, and it's going to go, for want of a better term, in a big soup, and that's what's going to come out between you guys when you jam and when you write at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How did?
We're definitely not like ashamed of having bluesy roots, but it makes it like we noticed with the last album, because we had blues band on the name. Some of like the big rock kind of media outlets, just but everyone's busy and everyone's kind of takes things a little bit kind of book by the cover type thing. So as soon as they saw blues band in the title, they go, this is a blues band. They don't necessarily listen to a whole album and then go, oh, these guys are not a blues band. So we thought this time around that might help us if we didn't have it on as well. Some of them are like the big rock stations and the rock magazines might be more keen to at least entertain us.
Yeah, well, at least you're more open to it. Then, like you say, it doesn't restrict you to pure blues just from title alone, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I guess on the other hand, now we don't have it in the title. The blues kind of crowd in the blues kind of media outlets now just see the Bad Day and they think, oh, this is a rock band. We're not going to play this. We're not interested in this. So, but what can you do? I mean, you just got to be true to yourself, haven't you, and just do what you want to do, I think.
Well, this is it, Adam, mate. All you can do is what's right for you guys and what you feel is right, what you want to do. At the end of the day, it's your art, it's your music. You're going to portray it and direct it how you want it to be. And, you know, bands always change and stuff. And think, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love AC/DC and they've wrote 40 albums that sound pretty similar, but they're bloody good at it. But equally, I like it, you know, when artists try different avenues and whatever. So, yeah, I think, like you say, you've just got to go with what's right for you guys at the end of the day. Yeah. No one knows that more than you guys.
Yeah, I love AC/DC, but every song sounds the same. But I'm fine with that because I love that song.
Exactly. You can't go wrong with them. You can't bang them for it. So, exactly. So, how was Thursday night doing the album launch show with Jack J. Hutchison?
Yeah, it was good. Good night. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I'd been there a couple of times to see other bands. I'd never played there before, but yeah, quite a nice little venue. O2 Islington 2, is it called? The Academy 2, or whatever it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Good venue. Yeah, enjoyed it. It was our first gig for a little while. I think we'd done one since November.
All right.
And it was the first time we played the new concept album live, all in one go.
Oh, wow. So you played the whole thing front to back?
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, like a few people were like, oh, that must have been hard. Because all the songs are linked, there's no breaks. And actually, there is one break because we wrote it initially, we wrote it for vinyl, like side A and side B.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it's side 1, they're all linked.
Yeah.
And then side 2 is all linked. So people are like, oh, it must be difficult, like doing that live because you got no break. But actually, I found it quite helpful playing live because, like, as you get older, the old memory's not what it was. And like, I really struggle sometimes with like remembering lyrics or like, you know, when you see people's band set lists, they've always got what key it's in next to it. Yeah. So, but with them all being connected, it triggers, like at the end of one song,
triggering that reflex to the next sort of.
Triggers a muscle memory as to where you go with the key and the tempo and the first line of the next song. So it's actually quite helpful if you've got a terrible memory like I have. Yeah, but no, it was great. I really enjoyed doing that.
So if you've got a date in mind when you want to, launch the album as such?
Yeah, it's out so Devil's Lullaby is just out now.
Yeah.
Then the next single is called Wake Up Carolina, which is a great song. That's out 1st of April.
Cool.
I remember that because April Fool's Day. That's kind of quite an Americana type.
All right.
70s rock vibe. It's got like a little bit of kind of like, a band like Little Feat. I wanted that kind of vibe with it, like a nice vibe to it. And then the next song after that is a much heavier rock song called When the Cage Comes Down, like a few weeks after. And then the full album is out June the 3rd.
Oh, brilliant, man. So you'll spend the first portion of the year, so obviously lining up the promo and getting the crowd whipped up, as it were, for the release then.
Yeah, three singles, a couple of music videos, and then the big album in June, which is kind of when all the gigs and the festivals are starting up for us. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, you got some good festival slots lined up. You're Wildfire, aren't you? The Wildfire Festival you playing?
Well, yeah, Wildfire. Yeah, up in Scotland. Where else are we doing? Some really cool festivals this year. Love Rocks we're playing.
Oh yeah. Good guys down there.
Yeah. And we're going to Romania to do a big festival with people like Beth Hart and Eric Gales.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah, loads of like cool festivals. On the big album launch party we're having in Camden at the Black Heart.
Oh, nice. When's that?
Tickets available now.
When's that, man?
I want to say July, like beginning of July 15th, I think.
Oh,
yeah, come down, Mission. Come down. There's some good bands on. Like we're playing, obviously, but we got like Amongst Liars.
Yeah.
Clover Hill and Leon Tass and us are playing. So
brilliant.
It's good, very rock. It's going to be a rock night, I think.
That's only a few hours. That's only sort of a couple hour drive from me. I'll have to come down to that.
Yeah, come down. More than welcome, sir. Come down.
Certainly will, mate. Oh, Leon, it's great band. I've not seen them for a while.
Yeah.
First time I saw them, I was at Rambling Man Fair.
Oh yeah.
And they were doing the warm-up day thing that Ricky Warwick and Damon Johnson were doing, like an acoustic set. and then they had a couple other bands on who were playing, and Leon Altus were the first guys on, and I hadn't heard them before. And they did, because there was some delays with the PA or something. There's something mucked up, so I think they only got to do sort of 3 or 4 songs in the end. But they were really enjoyed their set, and then they were mentioned on the night that they were playing first thing on the Rising stage, first band of the day basically. So I went the following day and sort of Ramble Around properly opened up and watched the full set. They were a great band. Yeah, a real good band. So that'd be a good night, man.
Yeah, well, the thing with like all of those bands, like I'd quite happy go and watch them do a full headline gig anywhere. All 4 of the bands that are on there. Yeah, I mean they're awesome. Liam Tass, Clover Hill have got a new album out. Really like them. Like,
yeah, I'm liking what I'm hearing off the new track so far.
Yeah, and Among Slayers are very popular at the minute as well. They've just won. What did they win? Band of the Year for the Great Music Stories thing.
Oh, they won that, did they? I didn't say that.
Yeah, great band as well. So it's going to be a great night. So I'm going to be there early doors. I'm going to be watching every song of every band. I'm going to love it.
That's good, man. It's nice when you have that kind of lineup. I know for myself, with like Just Push Play, sometimes it's I get all the bands lineup sorted, and it's like brilliant. We've got all these, and because of the reasons behind Just Push Play, with it being for tribute to your dad and all that. Like it's always bands don't get on the bill if I'm not mad about them, sort of thing. It's too much of a project from the heart, not to.
Yeah.
I always look at the lineup and go brilliant, and then I'm always running around like an idiot, and I'm lucky if I catch a song or band, sort of thing. But,
yeah.
But so yeah, I don't blame you for that one. How's the songwriting work within the band though? Are you sort of primary songwriter, or is it the rest of the lads?
I try not to be on purpose, because I think if one person just writes the songs and brings them into the studio, the songs are a bit safe and they're not as surprising.
Yeah, because you're not pushing each other, then, are you?
Yeah, because like, I mean, you see it like with tons of bands where the songs are like just a bit predictable and bland, but and you can tell straight away that it's a guy who's written it probably at home on a piano or an acoustic initially, brought it in, and then they've added guitar and bass and drums, and that'll give it a little bit of a different flavor. But it's essentially this, like the composition's the same, the chords are the same, the melody's the same. So we try not to do that, and I prefer when the nucleus of it starts in a studio.
Yeah,
and someone will have like a drum beat, and then we'll add something in and something in, and then you add the words and the melody. And I prefer that. I find those are the more exciting. Those songs with a little bit of magic.
Yeah, that little bit of extra something.
It's just something that you can't, or it's much harder to write on your own.
Yeah,
and get that magic. So I prefer that. That being said, the other guys in the band are immensely lazy, so it's difficult to get them all together and then get them in the mood and for it to get that magic to happen. So probably 50% of the songs we write start from me writing a song and bringing it in. But I try not to bring in too finished things.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like them too predictable. I like finding a bit of magic in the studio from other people, because like the guitar player in our band, Nick, he's amazing. He's miles better than I am on guitar. So I don't want to write particularly the guitar part and bring it in, because it's going to be boring compared to what he can do in harmonica, etc. That being said, sometimes a song just comes, doesn't it? You play guitar or piano, sometimes it just comes and it's quick and it's like, oh, that's better. Like the new one, Devil's Lullaby, that one I pretty much wrote on my own. But I just knew as soon as I'd written it, it was like, oh, you just know when a song's, sometimes you write like 10 songs and 9 of them are absolute crap. But occasionally you'll get one and you don't even know why, but it's just got a little bit of magic, sometimes in the melody or something, and you just go, oh, that's a good one, we'll have that. So yeah, that was the case with that one. But yeah, I tried to get everyone involved and have everyone write their bits to it and add that magic, really.
Yeah, like you say, and we're going back, we were saying earlier about influences being product, and everything. The band's made up of everyone's influences, so there'll be different directions and a different angle that Nick or whoever might come in with that you might not necessarily, but like you say, it pushes it in that slightly different direction. It's not that it's not going to work. So no,
definitely. Well, like our new, I say new, he's been our drummer for I don't know, a year or so now, but I mean, he's from a much heavier background, like double bass drum pedal type stuff.
Yeah.
From a much harder rock background. It totally changes how songs come out when you write them,
Yeah. I just say, I remember going to when I was at uni, I went to go watch I'm a bass player myself, but I went to go watch like a drum academy thing, mainly because one of the drummers on it was Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers, and I'm a huge Chili Peppers fan. So it was like, well, Chad Smith's doing something at my university, so I'm going to go. But I remember the other drummer was Steve Wright. He drummed with like Paul Weller, and I think he did a couple of tours with the Who and stuff. And he basically, for one part of it, he just took out a snare drum from his kit and plonked it in front of himself to show like, right, I'm only going to do this on the snare. And he was just showing how different sounds you can get off just the snare drum itself by hitting it slightly differently, different accents on it and all that. It was really interesting, the amount of sound he got just from the snare drum itself. And, you know, after that, I started looking at drums a bit differently and realizing how much a drummer's personality would come across in a beat. You could get, 100 drummers in a room and they're never going to play, even if it's a straight 4/4 beat, none of them are going to play it exactly the same. Unless you feel right, then you play it the same time every way. But
yeah, drums are super important, aren't they?
Oh God, yeah, it's just your foundation, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing. I've seen bands live and known what good a drummer in the band is, but it's been poorly produced or poorly mixed, and the drums just sound murky and horrible, and it's spoiled the songs. And you think, oh, they can do better than that, and then you go watch the songs live, and you're like, that's what they need to capture. Production is just as important, but it sounded like the production sounded good on Devil's Lullaby, though, man. Everything sounded clean and cutting through.
Yeah, but I mean, our drummer's really like Herman. He's from Uruguay.
No.
He's like a perfectionist to the point of it being really irritating. Like at the time, it's proper irritating.
No.
You're like, oh, can we just get the drums down, man? We've been doing it for months. Just get the drums down. But upon reflection, like now at this point where it's all down and done, I'm so happy that he
went for it.
That he did annoy us at the point and made us redo things and go in certain studios and that, because I mean, a lot of stuff nowadays you can record at home. Drums, I'm not so sure, not unless you live in a really nice recording studio. The drums you've got to get right first time, which is why we went to nice studios and used Abbey Road to master this actually. And
oh wow,
the guy who mastered, I should mention that, shout out to Miles Scholl, who is Abbey Road's, he's kind of their vinyl specialist. He masters for vinyl. And he's done stuff like Sgt. Pepper's, the remaster, the 50th anniversary, did that. And
oh wow, man.
Like The Police, Paul McCartney, Amy Winehouse.
So big
yeah, and he made it sound. He made it really pop for records. So it's as you say, production is very important, isn't it?
Definitely, production can ruin a good album. You can write the best songs in the world, and that's no discredit to an artist, because equally you can't polish a turd in production either. You've got to have some good songs there in the first place, but equally you can get albums out of, I mean, especially in bands that are rising through the ranks and in the early part of their career. I've gone to go back to what we're saying. I've gone to see bands live, and whether they're supporting it just on the rising side of things, and I've caught them and gone being like, wow, they're really good. I've gone to the merch stall and grabbed their then EP or demo or whatever it is, and then really excited to go and listen to these songs and sort of soak them up a bit, and then you listen to it and you go, this sounds awful.
Yeah. And
it's all down to poor production, but no, sounds like you had a top man working on this one, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those decisions, isn't it, when you're, because there's not a lot of money nowadays in that kind of, in records anymore. Well, I guess vinyls and physical there is, but certainly not streaming's kind of it's kind of changed how I think musicians think about doing production, because you think, oh, do I really want to go in Abbey Road and spend X amount of money when I'm going to get 50p back from Spotify from doing it? But I think kind of like we've come to the point now where we're just accepted now that for the majority of people, or certainly younger people, music is free now. They don't pay for it, or they don't subscription, they're streaming. We're not going to earn loads of money from that avenue, but don't worry about it, because you can't scrimp and save on like making the music sound good, or you're doing a kind of credit to all the time you've spent writing it and jamming it and playing it and stuff. So just fucking do it. You know what I mean? Just spend as much as you can on getting it to sound as good as you can. As an artist, that's all you can do, isn't it, really?
Well, this is it. And I think when you poured, everything you have as an artist into the songs, you want them to sound the best that they possibly can. I know guy I've interviewed and got to know quite well, Troy Redfern. He did his last album, Fire Cosmic, and he recorded it at Welsh Studio Rockfield. Recorded it there, and then he had it mastered at Abbey Road. And he said he had the guy who was in there. He was good with the vinyl and will like vinyl master. So I'm wondering if it was Miles who
could be, yeah,
might have been him. But the sound that sounds phenomenal record, you know. And I know Troy was nervous when I spoke to him because you put so much into it, and like you say, you do think sometimes, what am I going to get a return on this? But I think sometimes as an artist, it's just worth that investment, isn't it?
I know it sounds really, really cheesy, right? And I probably regret saying it, but with this album that we did, honestly, and not like no bullshit or PR or anything, the reward was the music at the end of it.
Yeah,
like I was so happy with it. It was like, you know, I'd be quite happy if no one buys it because it's a concept album and no radio stations want to play 15-minute songs or it doesn't get picked up by anyone. I don't really care. I'm so happy with it. I'm quite happy just with it as that. So I think that's a good thing to aim at, you know, just as long as you're happy with it.
Yeah, I think as the artist, if you're as happy as you clearly are with this record and get that buzz from it yourselves, because let's be honest, I mean, I've been in bands and I know a lot of them, and we're all our biggest critic. You will all sit there and go, no one's going to listen to this. It's bollocks. What have I done this for? It's rubbish. And then someone else will be like, well, right, this is great. It sounds good. And you're like, no, it's crap. And so if you're as happy as that, I think that shows the quality of it, mate, for a start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but
we all are, but equally, we're also our biggest critics. So if you're as happy with the sound on it, I think, and, you know, want to push it as much as you are, can't be bad, man. I mean, I say, obviously, Devil's Lullaby came out yesterday. It was the first and only track I've heard off the album, obviously. Loving the sound of it, man. I really love that. As soon as I heard it, it came out ahead of me going to the studio. I knew it was coming out because I'd seen the video you posted up during the week talking about, you know, Tale by the Wall vinyls and everything else that you guys had lined up. I thought, oh, great. And I already had it in my head because obviously I was doing the Jack J. Hutchinson album launch show last night. I knew that you're playing with us, so I already had it in my head like, right, that's cool. That's it's a good excuse to play some Bad Day and play some Dax and Roxanne and stuff. And so I was sort of keeping an eye on the thing, and then on my lunch break, sat in the office and gave it a spin. I'm like, that's definitely going in.
Yeah,
definitely going in. And, no, it sounds great, and I can't wait to hear the rest of the album, mate. I really can't. And even more importantly, I can't wait to come and check you guys out live, because that's for live. I'm just so happy live gigs are back, and
that's great, isn't it?
It is, man.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you at a show. I think probably over the summer if you're out and about doing all the festivals, or come to the album launch.
Yeah, I'll come down to the album launch, man. It was Black Heart, did you say? Sorry,
Black Heart, yeah, in Camden.
Great venue. I like that venue. Been quite a few bands there. I like Camden as a place. Well, I like certain areas of it, and I don't want to. I want to go see The Answer years ago, about 10 years ago. They were playing Bloomsbury Ballroom Theatre, and then we went out drinking in Camden afterwards. And we were waiting to the last train to get back up to where up in Norwich, where I was at uni at the time, and found this little rock bar, and just drinking and enjoying the night as you do. And then we got out, and it was like, what's the time? Like, it's 3 in the morning. Like, when was our last train? 11. Like, right. Last train was at midnight or something, so we had to wait till the following, like the early morning train, which was about 6 in the morning, and Camden between the hours of sort of 3 and 6. It's not a place I particularly want to hang out.
Yeah, a bit dodgy, isn't it?
It was a bit dodgy, yeah. I think we got offered everything from magic mushrooms to someone trying to borrow my mate's passport. So,
what's your favourite venue that you've ever been in ever?
Oh, that's a hard one, because there's a lot of ones I like. I like the Roundhouse in London. I do.
Do you know? I was just going to say that's probably one of my favourite. I love it.
I love the Roundhouse. I haven't been there didn't go to gigs a long time now, because my dad took me to see Aerosmith when I was 11, and that was that for me for music. Probably first went to the Roundhouse about 5 years ago, I guess. I really like the Roundhouse as a venue. But the ultimate one for me, and I guess it's one that quite a lot of people would say, is the Albert Hall. I've been to a couple of gigs over there, seen Stephen Wilson a few times over there, and there's just something magical about it. The acoustics in there are just insane, and I never really believed anyone until I went to a show there, and there is a bit of magic about that. But equally, there's some smaller venue like the Islington Academy that you guys played. I've seen some great shows there, and I've got a lot of good memories in there. Hammersmith Apollo, I love. I like Manchester Academy. I think that's a bit overlooked.
Okay.
Newcastle City Hall. Went from some gigs in there in the early days with my dad, and we go up north to see my family and go see my uncle and that, and go out to gigs. So there's a few about, but yeah, I think if you push me to it, it'd be between the Roundhouse and Albert Hall.
Albert Hall. Yeah, I love the Round. I saw Rival Sons and the Sheepdogs at the Roundhouse.
I was at that gig.
Oh yeah. Great gig.
Yeah, really good gig, yeah.
Both bands actually. Hadn't heard of the Sheepdogs before then.
I hadn't.
I thought they were brilliant. I was like, I went straight and got the album straight after that. I was like, these guys are great.
Yeah, they're a great band. Yeah, no, they're the same thing. My mate James, he went to, because he's in Scotland. James, he went to see him, same tour, but I think the Scottish date was before the London show. And he said to me, like, you want to get there early, don't miss that support band, mate. They're really, really good. And like you, I hadn't heard them before, but yeah, what a band, man. Yeah. Rival Sons are definitely up there for one of my tops, that's for sure.
They're annoyingly good, the Rival Sons, aren't they?
It's like every time they bring an album out, you think, well, you can't get any better than you did with the last one. And then how did you manage that? Where was there to go? But yeah, they manage it. I remember, and I was fortunate enough to meet Jay Buchanan, lead singer, sort of early days. I got into quite early on. I was pure luck more than anything. Classic Rock magazine were really pushing him at the time, and it was around the time of the Pressure and Time album coming out, and they were really pushing them, and I was like, okay. And free CD on that month's magazine had a track on it. I thought, well, you keep banging on about them, so I'll give them a listen. It was the title track, Pressure and Time itself, and I was like, damn, that's good. I really like that. So then I thought, you know, my wages burning a hole in my pocket, so to speak, and I thought, I'm gonna take a punt here. I'm gonna go get the album. So I went and bought the album, fell in love with it, and then about 6 weeks later, I was already booked up to go to Sonosphere and High Voltage festivals. And then I realized that their name was they'd already been booked on the bill. I mean, I didn't know who they were when I booked the tickets, because it's a band name that a band I don't know, sort of thing. But I went from like not knowing who they were to sort of seeing them twice in the space of about 6 weeks and sort of falling in love with the album. So, and then I went to see them a few months later up in Norwich. They were supporting Blackstone Cherry, and I went up to the gig. And as we're going to the door, because no one knew who the guys particularly were at that point, you know, they were still there's Jay Buchanan stood by the side of the stage, stood by the side door, like about like up, and he's like this, you know. And I'm walking down because I smoked at the time, and oh, hey man, can I borrow your light? And I just went, yeah, man. And oh shit. And yeah, we had a real nice guy. It wasn't that long after the High Voltage thing, so we were talking about that. Yeah, but they're just one of those bands, aren't they? Like I could never tire of seeing them live ever.
They're great. I've never talked to Jay or anyone. I've interviewed Todd, the keyboard player.
All right, yeah.
For like, I used to do a radio show.
Oh, cool.
And he's like the nicest chap ever.
I've heard he's really cool, Todd.
Yeah, he looks cool, doesn't he, with his massive beard and hat and stuff. Yeah. But he's a really nice guy as well. Yeah, look, great band. Probably my favorite like modern band, other than The Bad Day, obviously. Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, my second favorite band. Yeah, I love them.
No, I'll be up there with you, man. So if you could go out on tour with anyone that's out there right now, would it be Rival Sons, or would it?
Yeah, they probably would be my first. Like you're tempted to say, oh, you pick one of the big ones when you. Mm. I don't know, what would be a bigger gig? Someone like the Rolling Stones or someone would be like the biggest gig. But I think probably I'd be more, or the band would probably be more suited to someone like Rival Sons, maybe. I love them.
Great band. So what's the rest of the year hold out for you guys then, obviously, other than the album launch itself?
Well, we got next gig is at a place called Fighting Cocks.
All right.
In Kingston on the 18th.
Oh, yeah.
Headlining that with a couple of bands, so it should be good. I think it's quite a rock venue from what I've seen, so that's going to be great. And then we've got like live wise, we're taking a couple of months not playing live to write and maybe even record album 3. All
right, so you've already got plans and I set on that then.
Yeah, just because we know as soon as the summer comes round, we're going to be really busy like gigging and festivals and stuff. Yeah. And we're pretty busy live-wise till the end of the year, from about June onwards.
All right.
So we know the best time to kind of write the next album is probably going to be in this little kind of window between February and kind of May, June time. Oh. So we've only got a few tracks into like the next project, whatever it is. We're still working out how it's going to be because I really enjoy doing a concept album. Now going back to like normal songs is a bit like they're just normal songs, aren't they? So I'm not sure if it's going to be something like a bit different, a bit special, or we're going to go back to more kind of rock and roll kind of single tracks. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, that's what we're doing. Next few months after this gig's out the way, we're going to be concentrating on that, I think.
Oh, nice.
And then pushing obviously loads of promo stuff for the Bad Day album, the concept album when that comes out in June. Keep us busy.
So you got a busy year ahead then, mate.
Yeah, trying to keep busy. You know, it's yeah, trying to.
All right, man. Well, one more thing, Adam, mate. At the beginning of the interview, I'm going to play Devil's Lullaby, with it being the most recent single. But what song of yours would you like us to play at the end of the interview?
Oh, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Maybe Hurricane.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
That's quite a cool track. That's probably the most popular one off the first album. So yeah, let's do Hurricane.
All right, man. We'll go with that. Thanks for your time, Adam. Man, been good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, pal.